TPLF made the people of Wolkayit, Tagade and Telemt out of the economic activity. The party also confiscated all the property and wealth of the people in a systematic and organized way.
በኃይለ ሥላሴ ዘመን የወልቃይት አማራዎች በኢትዮጵያ ትልቅ ባለሀብቶች ነው የነበሩ።
Wolkayit Amharans were among the wealthy or rich people of Ethiopia. As the area is very fertile, they used to produce much products. Wolkayit Amharans were civilized people. However, TPLF made these people poor and economically weak in a systematic way.
In ሀብታም ህዝብ ግን ዳርገው የውላሁን ዳርገው ገለውታል።
ደረግነው ጥናት የወልቃይት ጠገዴ ህዝብ
In accordance with our research, Wolkayit and Tagade Amharans were people who started the first mechanized agriculture during the period of Emperor Haile Selassie. They were very rich people and they were using tractor for their agricultural activity. The year 1983 gave a chance for TPLF to enter the palace and take the throne. Then they snatched the land of Wolkayit, Tagade and Telemt from the hand of Amharans.
ወልቃይት ጠገዴን አመጣወረጩት የጎረቤት ዘር ጀራው ላይ ወጣ ጡላ ያመር
በተለይ ሰቲት ሁመራ በዚያን ዘመን ከ1500 በላይ ትራክተሮች
Satit Humara Amharans were people who started the first mechanized agricultural activity using about 1,500 tractors. However, TPLF worked hard on weakening the people of Amhara economically and killed the psychology of native Amharans.
ምን ህግ አስፈልጎህ ነው በሚል በቀጥታ ሰፈራው ተውለው የመጡ በሙሉ 220 ጥይት እየታጠቁ ነው የመጡ
ሆዋት ከመጣ በኋላ ግን
After the coming of TPLF, native Amharans were being killed and they were made to be poor. Nowadays, children of those rich and strong Amharans have no land for agriculture. For this reason, they are being unable even to feed themselves.
በኢኮኖሚ ደሃ የሆኑና የረት ጉርሳቸው መሸፈን የማይችሉበት ደረጃ ላይ ደርሰዋል።
በ84 መሬት ገመዳ ብሎ ደጋ አካባቢ ከገመደ በኋላ መሬት ካከፋፈለ
After the coming of TPLF to power in 1984, the land of Amharans were confiscated and given to Tigrayan soldiers. TPLF started to persecute native Amharans. This day, Tigrayans have been investors. However, we Amharans are suffering a lot from absence of land for agriculture.
የወልቃይት ጠገዴ ሰው ግን ለክራይ የተሸገረ ያው ሙስሊም ያርስበታቶ ከተማ ቁጭ ብለን ያለ ነው
ከ84 85 86 ጀምሮ
Beginning from 1984, TPLF brought about more than 6,000 soldiers and settled them around Dansha. Amharan farmers were displaced from their farmland. Later on, beginning from 1987, TPLF started to make a resettlement activity. Then the land of Amharans were confiscated and given to Tigrayan people. During that time, Amharans were labeled as feudal.
አንተ ፊዳል ሰው ነው ስለዚህ አይገባህም አንተ እየተባለ በይፋ እየነገሩት ነው ገበሬውን ያነሱ
ህዋት የመሬት ወረራውን ሲጀምር የመጀመሪያ ያደረገው ተሰሚነት ያላቸውን ሰዎች ማጥፋት
The first activity of TPLF when conquering the land of Amhara was killing those Amharans who were orators and who were asking question of identity. More than 500,000 Wolkayit Tagade Amharans were made to leave their homeland and migrate to other areas. TPLF also tried a lot to change the demography of the area. Why they did all these things was to conquer the land of Amharans.
ይሄን ሁሉ ለማድረግ አንዱ ምክንያት የነበረው የመሬት ወረራ ለማድረግ ታሳቢ ተደርጎ ነው
ወልቃይት ጠገዴን አመጣወረጩት የጎረቤት ዘር ጀራው ላይ ወጣ ያመር
Many of Amharans were made to be displaced from their land. Many of them were persecuted. The remaining native Amharans were also made to be economically weak.
ወደ መሬት ዘረፋ ስንገባ መጀመሪያ ይሄ ዲቪዥን የሚባለው ያለ አጠቃላይ የሁመራ መሬት
Earlier, all the land of Humera was an area that our forefathers used to own and undertake agricultural activities. However, TPLF brought Tigrian people and settled here. However, the people started to complain that they are not Tigrians and the land does not belong to Tigrians. During that time, men were persecuted a lot and they don't want to be alive. Then they controlled all the land of Amharans and brought the Tigrians to settle there.
ዛኋላ መሬቱን ተቆጣጠሩ ያዙ ከዛ በኋላ መሬቱ የመረጡ የትግራይ ህዝብ ያመጡ ማስፈር ጀመሩ
በ75 በደርግ መተኔ ዘኔ የነበረው መሬት እዛም ወዲ ደግሞ እርሻዬንም ቀምተው
They confiscated my farmland and gave to Tigrayans. They took all the land I had. This is because I'm an Amhara.
ተቀምቻለሁ ምንም መሬት የለኝም ዝም ብዬ ነው ያለው የሁላ አማራ በመሆኔ ነው
ትርካን አይዶላ ሽግልል ማይለሚን
Many of the land taken from Amharans were given to Tigrians. The farmland of Wolkayit Amharans were given to TPLF supporters.
እኛ የምናርስበት መሬት ለከፍት ሞያ ለትግራይ ነው የሚሰጥ ተብሎ እንደገና አመጽ አደረጉብን
ከ500,000 በላይ ትግሬዎችን ከመሃል ትግራይ አምጥተው እዚያ አስፍረዋል
More than 500,000 Tigrians were brought from central Tigray and settled here. Amharans in turn were made to be displaced. Based on the report of Mekonnen Dellelo, large number of Tigrian people came from central Tigray, snatched the land of Amharans.
ቦታው ላይ ዛሬ ባለይዞታ የመሬት ኢንታይትልመንት ይዘው የምታገኛቸው ወያኔ ባለይዞታ ያረጋቸው እነኚህ ከግማሽ ሚሊዮን በላይ ያሰፈራቸው የትግራይ ሰዎች ናቸው
As their farmland was taken by TPLF, Wolkayit Amharans suffered a lot from absence of grazing land for their cattle.
መሬታችን ደግሞ የልማት መሬት አለ ሰፊ ሆነው በራ የወያኔ ልማት አለ ማለት ነው
TPLF has taken an extensive area of land for development activity. They also demarcated other areas for Tigrians. If our cattle entered the demarcated area of the land, we would be punished.
የኛ ከብት ከሄደ ግን መሬቱ ከረገጠ በጣም ይቀጣል
አንድ ሰው በረሃ ሄዶ ማረስ አይችልም
Someone cannot perform agricultural activity unless he is their relative or family. They give the land for Tigrians free of charge. However, people of Wolkayit used to suffer from overtax.
እንዴ በዛብኝ ብሎ ሲከራከር 3 አመት ይቆያል ከዛ በየአመቱ እየጨመረ ይላል ከዛም በኋላ ሳይወድ ቦታውን ተዋል እነሱን አምጥቶ በነፃ ይሰሩታል
አረመገን ጎንደ ወልቃይት ጠገዴ አባደፋር አገር
የምናርሰው የነበረ መሬት ለሰፈራ ተሰጥቶ
The land on which we used to perform agricultural activity was given for resettlement. Now we have no land for agriculture. As we are Amharans, we have a threat of existence here.
በጣም በሰቀቀ የተሰቃቅነን የነበርነው ስታውን ማለት ነው እና ብዙ ግፍ ደርሶብናል
መሬር ሆረራ ያው በጣም የህዝብ ያው
As they snatched all the land we had, the people are suffering from absence of grazing land for their cattle. The people are in trouble now.
አሁን በጣም ጭንቅ ነው ያለው ሰው
ወልቃይት ውስጥ እነሱ ጠለምት ውስጥ እነሱ ውጡ ይያሉ
They used to expel Amharans from their own land, Wolkayit and Tallemt. It is out of humanity. It is a must to struggle this inhuman act. It is as equivalent as what Italians did on Ethiopia. It is something that can trigger us for war.
ተወለደበት አባቱ ባደም እናቱ ባደም እቱብቶ ተቀበረበት ያ ታክስ የቂማሲስ
የመሬት ወረራው እንግዲህ ከተከዜ ማዶ ያለው ለመሬት
TPLF distributed the fertile land of Wolkayit and the surrounding to supporters of TPLF. They used to label native Amharans as feudal and anti-TPLF. and they snatched the land of Amharans and gave to their followers. They also used it to weaken economic and political participation of Amharans. Then they conquered most fertile areas of Amhara.
ጠገዴ እስከ ጠለምት ያለው አብዛኛው ቦታ በህዋት ሰዎች እንዲያዝ ተደርጓል እና ይሄ ትልቅ የመሬት ወረራ ተፈጽሟል ማለት ነው።
ዲ ፕሮጀክት አንዳንዴ አንድ የሆነ ኢሹ ብቻ ላይ ይችላል አንዳንዴ ደግሞ ሰፋ ያሉ
Sometimes a project may deal with a single issue and some others may deal with many and big issues. Land, gold and other mineral resources are the main projects of TPLF. That's why they wanted to conquer all the land of Amharans.
ይሄ የሚፈለግበትም ዓላማ አለው ሀብት አለ ዝርፊያ አለ ስልጣን አለ እነዚህ ፕሮጀክቶች በሙሉ ፓኬጅ ናቸው ከዚህ የሚመነጭ ነው ዋናው ፍላጎታቸው በያስባል
ወልቃይት ጠገዴና መታወረጩት የጎረቤት ዘር እንጀራው ላይ ወጣ ወጡ ላይ ያመርህ
These areas, Humara and Maikadra, are places that TPLF snatched from Amhara people. This is an extensive fertile land. The conspiracy of TPLF touched even religious institutions. People who live in Wolkayit, Tagade, Talamt and Humara were unable to exercise their religious activities freely. Religious institutions were tied with political issues.
ህወሓት ማለት ሌላው የሚያደርገው ምን ጸልዩ ስለ ኢትዮጵያ ምን ጸልዩ አለ በኢትዮጵያ ወግብጽ ወሶርያ
We were being forced to change even the sacred word of the religion. For instance, there is a prayer which says በኢትዮጵያ ወግብጽ ወሶርያ በአንጾኪያ ወሮም ለስዕላትኪ ዘሐለዋ ማርያም ሰላም. So we priests were forced to change the word Ethiopia and say በብሔረ ትግራይ ወግብጽ ወሶርያ በአንጾኪያ ወሮም ለስዕላትኪ ዘሐለዋ ማርያም ሰላም. We were prohibited to call the name Ethiopia.
የትኛው ኢትዮጵያ ማለት ድንጋይ የትኛው ነው እንጨት የትኛው ነው ኢትዮጵያ ማለት የለም ትግራይ ነው አሉን
TPLF taught that eliminating Amharans and Amharic language from the land of Wolkayit is the base for its existence and success of its objective. They tried all the possibilities to eliminate Amharic language from the religious activities.
አማርኛ እንዲጠፋ ትግርኛ ቤተክርስቲያን በሙሉ በትግርኛ ነው በቃ
Including the Qidase ceremony, all the services were being performed in Tigrinya language so as to eliminate Amharic language. For this reason, we Amhara people simply returned back to our home, for we cannot listen to Tigrinya language.
እኛ ደግሞ ትግርኛ ደስ አይለንም ጭራሽ አይገባንም
በትግርኛ እንድናነብ ትግርኛ እንድንለማመድ
We were being forced to perform all the rituals in Tigrinya language. However, as people of this area are Amharic speaking people, they are unable to understand what is said in the church. It was declared that miracle of Saint Mary, miracle of Jesus Christ, the Bible and other religious books should be read in Tigrinya language.
ወልቃይትና ራያ ኮናችሁን ስም ታደርጉን ልቀቁልን የኛ ቦታ ነው አሉና ማለት ነው
በግድ በካድሬ ተጨነ ግን ከቤተ ክርስቲያን ውስጥ ግን እንድንወደው ሳይሆን እንድንጠላው ነው ያስገደዱ ቋንቋው ራሱ እንድንወደው ሳይሆን እንድንጠላው ነው ያስገደዱ
In fact, our church has nothing to do with any language. However, what matters is that rituals should be performed in a language that people can understand. All the people in this area have lost their psychological strengths. We have experienced a great misery and grief.
ከባድ ጫና ነው ያለው ችግር ነው ያሳለፍነው
ህወሓት በነጻነት በማንኛውም በቻልከው ቋንቋ በምትችለው ቋንቋ የመናገር ባህሪ አልነበረም
TPLF did not allow us to speak the language we can understand. They want all the people to communicate in Tigrinya than Amharic language. They had an interest to change the language of the Holy Quran into Tigrinya.
መቀየር ስለማይቻል ነው እንጂ እሱ በትግርኛ እንዲሆን ፍላጎት ነበር
The identity of Amharans was considered as a crime in Wolkayit, Tagade and Talamt. The operation of TPLF covered the whole area of Amhara.
Amhara ነኝ በሚለው በአማራነት ዘፈንክ ተብሎ
Large number of Amharans were detained in Humera because of their question of. Even children were detained by TPLF. They have worked much on weakening the psychology of Amharans.
የሰውን ስነ ልቦና ለማዳከም ያልተሰራ ስራ የለም።
በማንኛውም አማራ ወልቃይት ጠገዴ በመሆናችን ብዙ ስቃይ ደርሶናል።
We have faced many challenges because of our identity. We had no right to do anything and we were considered as a second citizen. There was a great problem.
በነጻነት በገበያ የምንበለው ብዙ ችግር አልፎ
አማርኛ ብትናገር ትታነቃለህ።
Children in the school were being persecuted for their Amharic speaking people. They were not allowed to listen to Amharic music.
አማርኛ ሙዚቃ እንዳይሆን በትግርኛ ነው ብለው አስገደውናል።
ሌላው ህወሓት የፈጸመው በደል በወልቃይት ጠገዴ ጠለምት ህዝብ ላይ
The other conspiracy of TPLF on Amharans was that Amharans were not allowed to have their own culture. They were forced to use only the culture and tradition of Tigrayans. It was decided that Amharic music should not be opened during the wedding and other special occasions.
በሰርግ ጊዜ ዘፈኑ ትግረኛ እንዲሆን አማርኛ ቋንቋ መናገር እንዳይቻል ተደርጓል።
ወልቃይት ጠገዴን አምታወረጩት የጎረቤት ዘር እንጀራው ላይ ወጣ ወጡ ላይ አመርህ
TPLF used schools as the main means to eliminate Amharans and Amharic language from the surface of the earth. Children were made to forget their identity.
ለህፃን ለልጆቻችን የትግራይ መዝሙር ዘምሩ የዜግነት ክብራት ፈሉ ይያሉ
Children in the school were not allowed to sing the national anthem of the country. Rather, they were forced to sing the original anthem of Tigray only. Parents were also being criticized if their children are not able to speak Tigrayna and sing the original anthem of Tigray.
ለወላጅ እየጨፈጨፉ የገመገሙ ያው የሚኖር ሰው ናቸው እነዚህ
ትምርት ቤት በሚሄዱ ጊዜ ሰው መቼም እንግዲህ በተፈጥሮ የተሰጠው ጸጋ አለ ነጻነት አለ
People have both human and democratic rights. We have the right to wear any clothes we want. However, students were not allowed to wear any clothes they want in the school. If so, they will be expelled from school. They will also be labeled as chauvinists.
ይቀደዳል እሱ ይደበደባል ትምርት ቤት ይመለሳል ጠባብ የሚል ስም ነው የሚሰጥ ትምክህተኛ የሚል ስም ነው የሚሰጥ
አማራኔ ማለት ቀርቶ አማርኛ ስም ራሱ በአማርኛ የተሰየመ ወጣ ሰው ካለም በውሃት መስሪያ ቤት ገብቶ በስነ ስርዓት መተናገድ አይችልም
Let alone expressing your identity, you are going to be punished if your name displays Amharic language. You cannot get service in offices in Amharic language.
አማርኛ ከተናገረ የፈለገውን ነገር ሊፈጸምነት አይችልም በዋ ዘመን ማለት ነው
ጽሁፋችን በትግርኛ አርጎታል
We were being forced to write in Tigrinya language. We were also being forced to listen to Tigrinya music only. All Amharic names were also changed into Tigrinya.
ሁሉን ስማችን ቀይረውታል
ቋንቋማ እኛ ሀገር ቋንቋ እንኳን ለውጠው አሁን እኛና ትግራይ ቋንቋ ትግርኛው ይለያያል
They have changed our language. Now our language is a bit different from their language. So when we use our own language, they usually fight against us.
እኛ ላም ነው ምንል እንጂ ለህመን ለሚሉት አሁን ተጣልተዋል
ወልቃይት አማርኛ የሚናገር ሰው አይኖርበትም
They usually say that Amharic speaking people must not live in Wolkayit. People were not allowed to speak their own language, Amharic. They were forbidden to write in Amharic. This is what TPLF call a democratic right.
በአማርኛ ጽፍም ተብሎ በአማርኛ ተናገርም ይሄ ነው እንግዲህ የዲሞክራቲክ ራይት የሚባለው
ማህበራዊ ሁኔታ ላይ የፈጸመው ጫና አለባበስ
In a social aspect, people of this area were allowed to wear Gondrian cultural clothes like Jano. It is impossible to hang up a national flag of Ethiopia within one's home, as one of the main objectives of TPLF is imposing Tigrayan identity on Amhara people forcefully. The cultural and traditional values of Amharans were made to be eliminated.
ማንነትን መጫን ነበርና አንዱ ወይንም ትግሬ ማድረግ ነበርና አካባቢውን አላማው ስለዚህ ይሄ ባህላዊ እሴት እንዲጠፋ ተደርጓል
እኔ ሳማራ ነኝ የጊዮን ፍሬ ነኝ
TPLF also monopolized the trading activity of Wolkayit, Tagade and Tallemt, and there was no free market system.
ንግድ ዓለም ውስጥ ራሱ ገብተን ለኛ የሚጣል ብንገር ለብቻው ነው
The tax imposed on Amharans is different from Tigrayans. I was working for some time being members of Merchants Association. However, when I started to complain the amount of tax imposed on Amharans, they forcefully expelled me from the membership of the association.
ያለ ህዝቡ መርጦ ይያለ ማለት ነው አንተ አታስፈልግም አንተ የዚህ ዘርና በዘር በቃ ቆጠራ ማጥቶብኝ
የመጀመሪያ ፍቃድ ስታወጣ የት እንደሆንክ እንግዲህ ትውልድህም ምንም ይጠየቃል
When you receive a trade license, what you are going to be asked first is your identity. Then, if you are Amharan, you will be made to be out of the game. In terms of tax, if the merchant is Tigrayan, he will pay from 300 to 500 birr. However, if someone is Amharan, he will be forced to pay up to 20,000 birr. This is to eliminate Amharans from this area.
አማራ ከሆነ ግን 20 ሺህ ብር እስከ 100 ሺህ ብር ክፈል ይባላል እና ይሄን ለምንድነው አማራን ከዚች ምድር ለማጥፋት
ወልቃይት ጠገዴን አመታወረጩት የጎረቤት ዘር እንጀራው ላይ ወጣ ወጡ ላይ አመር
ቲሸርት ለበስክ እንደዚህ አይነት አደረክ ይያሉ ብዙ ልጆች ሲቀጠቀጡ ነው የቆዩት
The youths were being whipped because of the t-shirt they wear. Recently, there were youths who were being persecuted by TPLF soldiers. The youths have no any crime, rather, their crime was their identity only. One of the youths was my relative and 5 of his fingers have been highly injured.
ራቆታቸው አድርገው ውሃ ያርከፈከፉ ለምንድን ነው ውሃ የሚርከፈከፈው ስላቸው እንዲያማቸው ነው ሰውነታቸው እንዲሰማቸው ነው የተባለ ግፍ ነው የተፈጸመ እና ያ ልጅ አሁን ዘመዳችን ነው የኛ ጣቱ ሁሉ ወልቋል 5 ጣቱ ልጁ እንደወለቀ ነው ያለው ራሱ
Those users who didn't want to deny their identity and who didn't want to accept the identity of Tigrayans were sent to jail.
አማራንን ስንል አማራ ያለ ሰው እየተለቀምና ታሰርና
Those users who officially expressed their identity were sent to different jails like Humara, Gondar, Qilinto, Mekele and others. They persecuted us very badly. Among our friends, there are users who were castrated like Aschalo.
እንዳይወልድ አድርጎ የመሰለ ሴት ብልት ያባላሹበት ጊዜ ነው የነበረ በህወሓት ማለት ነው
እኔ አማራ ነኝ ብዬ በጠየቁበት ወቅት
It is impossible to describe the misery that I have experienced from TPLF because of my identity.
ማይገለጽም ግፍ ነው የደረሰብን
Many of Amharans have been disabled in prison. Prisoners have been persecuted much.
እስከ 3 ወር ጨለማ ውስጥ ታስረናል
We were in a dark room from 3 up to 12 months. I myself was in a dark room for about 3 years because of my identity. I lost my conscience for some days. I was not able to eat and drink. There is nothing that was not done on us.
በቆለጣችንም ሃይላንድ ውሃ ተንጠልጥሎ እጃችን እንደዚህ ተሰቅለናል ምንም ያልተደረገው ነገር የለም በህወሓት የደረሰብኝ ችግር አንድ አይኔ ያው እንዳይሰራ ሆናል ህክምናም እስካሁን አላገኘሁም
I have lost one of my eyes I cannot get medical treatment. My mind is also badly injured.
በጣም ያምሮ ችግር አድርሰውብኛል
ያው አባቴ አማራ ጦርና ይባላል አራሽ ነው ትልቅ ገበሬ ኢንቨስተር ነው
My father was an investor. However, TPLF took him to jail for he listened to Amharic music and spoke Amharic language. They arrested my husband first and they twisted his hands to his back and tied him. Then they whipped him very much. After that, they returned back to our home again and took my father. Then they put my husband and my father to a dark room. However, when we go to the prison to visit them in the next day, we were told that my husband and my father were not there. We have no idea where did they take them.
ጨለማ ነው ወዴት እንሄድ ማክሰኞ ጧት ስንጠይቅ እስሩ የሚባል የለም ወራው ደግሞ ተመልሰን በየቦታው የገጠሩ ፖሊስ ጣቢያ የከተማውም ስንጠይቅ የለም ተባሉ አደባ ሄደዋል ተብሎ
ለምን አማራልክ ትግሬ ማትል ትግርኛ ተገራጭ እናንተ አማራው እናረጋችሁ ያለ በጉልበት ሰጭ ነው አዙን አስገድዶ ያዙን
We were being forced to say that we are Tigrians but not Amharans. We had no option.
ከምን ይደርሳለ
TPLF killed all Amharan prisoners who were taken from Humara. He was a hard-working man. They were forcing him to say that he is Tigrian. I would rather die than losing my son. He was like my mother and father. He was my supporter in my old age. However, they killed him because of his identity. We could not get justice. TPLF showed all its prejudice towards Amhara people. In addition to the massacre of the businessmen of Humara, they committed a genocide on civilians of Maikadra. They attacked me using gunfire and knife. They thought that I was died. If they were aware that I am not died, they would finish me.
They attacked me on 3 or 4 places using a blade. They thought that I was dead.
ማይካድራ እንግዲህ ህዋትን አረመናዊ ሴራ ያሳያል
The massacre of Maikadra shows to what extent TPLF is a group of savage people. All the people who were killed by TPLF in Maikadra were civilians. This massacre is the attribution of the last stage of cruelty of TPLF.
ህዋትም ጣር ላይ በነበረበት ሰዓት ነው እንግዲህ የነበረውን አረመናዊነት የመጨረሻ ደረጃ ማይካድራ ላይ ያሳየን ብዬ ነው ማስበው አካፋን በዶማኔ በባፍ መጥረጋ የተፈለጣችሁ በፋተነ በልባል የተቃጠላችሁ
እንደንሰሳ በቃ እንደንጨት ነው የሚቆራርጠው በቃ ተቃጠለ
Many civilians were slaughtered as an animal here in Maikadra. It is difficult even to think this crime. We were together in different social aspects. However, they killed us in unexpected way.
እንደዚህ ያለ አድራጎት ሲሰጥ በጣም ይገርማል ታይቶ ተሰምቶ ማይታወቅ
በጣም ልብ የሚነካና ልብ የሚሰብር ጉዳይ ነው
It is heart-touching. The crime targeted civilian people. I have never seen this kind of inhuman act in my life. This crime was not accidental. Rather, it was done in a planned and systematic way.
የዚህ አይነት የግፍ ጭፍጨፋ በእነሱ ቀጥተኛ ትዕዛዝ ሲፈጸም የነበረ መሆኑ በተደጋጋሚ ምን ገልጸው የነበረ ነው አሁንም እሱ ነው እዚህ ቦታ ላይ የተደገመው
In the massacre of Maikadra, TPLF killed many children.
መተው መጀመሪያ መጀመሪያ መተው ሰውየውን ውጣ ብለው ደበደቡት
First they came home and ordered the man to get out of his home. Then when he got out, they killed him. After they killed him, they burned the body of the man with fire.
ሬሳውን እሳት ወረወሩት
ለኛ ለኢትዮጵያውያን ብቻ ሳይሆን ኢንተርናሽናል ኮሚኒቲም እንዲረዳው
The massacre was undertaken by a group of users called Samri. Police and militia forces were participants in the massacre. It is a fact that even many native Tigrayans witnessed it.
ተጎጅ ቤተሰብም ወገን ጎረቤት እንዲሁም በዚያ አካባቢ ረጅም ጊዜ የኖሩ የትግራይ ተወላጆችም የመሰከሩት ሀቅ ነው
ያብዩ ጠጋይ መጀመሪያ የተቃጠለ ያብዩ ጠጋይ ቦታው ግንብ ሰፈር ይባላል
Abiy Tsagai's home was the first to be burned by TPLF. They burned his home and all his properties. Then they killed Abiy Tsagai and burned his body with fire. My brother and my husband were also killed by TPLF. I have experienced a big grief.
ይነግፍና በደል አይዘለቅም ተውት እንደ ወይኔ ሲያላገር ነው ሁላ ሆነብና አማራ ስለሆነ እንጂ ሌላ ነገር የለም
All this was happened for we are Amharans. There is no reason other than our identity. They usually say that Amhara should not live with people of Tigray.
የደርግ ተረፍራቢ እኔ የሚያጠፋቸው እኔ ባቃቸዋለሁ
The number of people who were killed by TPLF in Maikadra increases from time to time. Based on the report of Human Rights Commission, more than 1,000 people lost their life. More than 600 people were killed in a day.
የሰብአዊ ኮሚሽን ካወጣው ሪፖርት በላይ ነው
The number of dead people is more than the report of Human Rights Commission. New dead people are being found and the number is increasing.
ሁኔታ የሚያሳየው ቁጥሩ ከዚህ በላይ ሊጨምር የሚችል ነው
አካፋን በዶማኔ በባፍ መጥለቂያ የተፈለጣችሁ በልባል የተቃጠላችሁ
ልጅ ማዘት ተንዘራክቶ ነበር አምን እንደደረሰ ውርጊውም ያልታወቀ ልጅ ሬሳውም ያልተገኘ ልጅ አልታወቀ
I don't know where my son is. We have not found his body. I have lost my only son and my heart is broken.
የኗሪ አናኗሪ ያለው የልጅ ነገር ሳታ ይወጣል ይላል
በድርጊትም በአሳሳብ ግን በተግባር ይሄን ለመፈጸም ያነሳሳው ይሄን የመራ ይሄን ያስተባበረ የተሳተፈ በሙሉ ግፊት የሚቀርብበት ጊዜ 11ኛው ሰዓት ላይ ነው የደረስነው
It is the time that people who gave the command for the crime and who participated in the massacre will be presented to justice. We are also on the way to present masterminds of the crimes committed in Benshangul, Gurafarda, Oromia region and other parts of Amhara to justice. Now, it is the right time to ensure rule of law.
ፍትህ የሚገኝበትና የህግ የበላይነት በዚህ ሀገር የሚረጋገጥበት ጊዜ ከብቻውም ጊዜ በላይ አሁን ነው ብዬ አስባለሁ
Many Amharans lost their lives while struggling for freedom and creating convenient environment for the coming generation.
ብዙዎች ተሰውቷል ብዙዎች ጠፍተዋል እነሱ አሁን ዛሬ አይቆምንበትን ምድር ቆመውን አላዩ
Lots of Amharans were killed and many others disappeared. This area is being liberated because of their courageous struggle and their blood. However, they are not alive today. We wish they could have seen this day. I wish their soul rest in peace.
ተደብቆ ቢያዩት ኖሮ እንዴት መልካም ነበር ግን አልሆነም ሌላ ምንም አንልም ነፍሳቸውን እግዚአብሔር በጽድቅነት ያስቀምጣልን
The struggle end, blood of people of Wolkayit, Tagade, Tallemt, Dansha and Amhara took the lion's share to overthrow the regime of TPLF and strengthen sense of Ethiopianism. The struggle and sacrifice of people of Wolkayit Amharans has been written colorfully in the heart and mind of all people.
ብሶቴ ሀገሬ ክብሬ ማንነቴ